Hello and thanks for stopping by. This is River Raid for the Atari 2600, released by Activision in 1982, and this game sold over 1 million copies. The game was also ported to the Atari 5200, the ColecoVision, the Intellivision, and a bunch of home computers from the 80s. I don't have any of those other copies yet, but I might track down the ColecoVision copy for a future video. This is a vertical shooter and one of the more popular Activision games in the Atari 2600. I never had a copy when I was younger, but I remember playing at a friend's house a few times. I'm not particularly good at this game, but it is strangely fun to blow up bridges. Also, after playing this game for a while, there seems to be a lot of helicopters in this world. You shoot down a lot of them. I'm not sure I understand what the story's supposed to be with shooting all these helicopters and boats, but there's a lot of destruction going on screen here. There are 1 and 2 player games, and there are 2 difficulties as well. Difficulty A is regular, and B lets you control missiles after launch. So you're a fighter jet, and you're flying up a river and trying to survive as long as possible. You have to worry about a timer, which is on the bottom of the screen. It's referred to as your fuel gauge. And pretty much you're just driving around shooting everything that gets in your way. You can replenish your fuel gauge if you run over a fuel tanker. There are a lot of tankers early in the game. You can also shoot a fuel tanker to get points as well. Unfortunately, when you do blow up a tanker, there is no explosive radius. It would have been nice to have some collateral damage to get some of the nearby targets, but I guess it just wasn't in the cards. You start with 3 jets and can get a free jet every 10,000 points you score. For me though, this is a chore. I am not that great with this game, so getting that many points is not easy. You have a bunch of obstacles in your way, and you have to worry about tankers, helicopters, bridges, jets, and you have to dodge or eliminate all of these while you're being confined to the banks of the river. I think it would have been nicer to be able to fly across the entire screen. I mean, we are a fighter jet right here. Why are we flying so low? Anyway, when you blow up a bridge, that becomes your current checkpoint if you die, which is nice. To not have to go back to the start of the game, yeah, I can see that being useful. One of the more common gripes that I tend to have with Atari 2600 games is actually absent here. Usually I have problems with the dullness or lack of colors. Here it's not so bad. There's enough variety of your enemies, and there's actually some decoration that sits on the sides of the river. You'll see some trees and some houses as you fly by. It's nice to know that somebody cared enough to try to make things look at least a little bit better. There are 3 interesting facts that I stumbled on when I was doing my work on River Raid. It won a bunch of game awards in 1984. It doesn't actually have an ending to this game, but that's not uncommon with Atari games. And apparently this game was partially banned in Germany. I don't know if that last one is true or not, but it does finish off the list with a bang. There was also River Raid 2, and it was released for the 2600 as well, and that came out in 1988, and I saw that year and I said, wow, that's really late in this console's life cycle. This is after Nintendo entered the market. Now I know the Atari 2600 sort of faded in the United States, but it did keep on in some other countries. Maybe that's where it sold, I don't know. It's kind of a rare game. I did see some footage online. Truthfully, River Raid 2 looks far more complex than River Raid 1. I was really surprised seeing that footage. If that game came out even a year after the original River Raid was released, it would have been a huge deal. But now, 1988, I mean, we're already a couple years past Mario coming out, so it was no wonder that it sort of faded away. This is an Activision game, like I had said earlier, and it was part of the Activision Patch Club. You could send off for a River Raiders patch if you managed a high enough score. As I'm writing this down, I'm looking on eBay to see what a patch like this goes for, and $89.95 apparently with free shipping. Wow, free shipping, thanks a lot. Yeah, no, I'm going to pass that one. The patches are interesting, but honestly I wouldn't pay more than $5 or $6 for something like this. It's too bad they're considered antiques. Now that we're near the end of the video, I'd like to remind you that early on in this recording I mentioned that I was not good at this game. By this point, if you are paying attention to the footage of my recording, I believe you will agree with that statement. This is a tough game for me. It's certainly good for a few minutes of gameplay, and it's certainly good to be in the rotation, because it's such a classic, but I don't see myself becoming an expert in this one. Well, that's all I have for River Raid. Thanks for stopping by to take a look.